The Hero with a Thousand Faces by Joseph Campbell. Ever notice how certain stories just hit different? Picture this: a farm boy gazing at twin suns on a dusty desert world, a lion cub watching his entire kingdom crumble, an 11-year-old kid finding out there's a whole magical universe he never knew existed. What is it about these moments that makes our hearts race the exact same way? Here's the thing. All these stories are speaking a secret language. They're following an ancient blueprint, a map that charts the deepest journey the human soul can take. And the master key to understanding this map? A single extraordinary book, The Hero with a Thousand Faces. Back in 1949, a brilliant scholar named Joseph Campbell dropped this quiet little book that would go on to sell millions of copies. But here's what's wild. Its real power isn't in the sales numbers. It's in how it literally rewired the way we tell stories. When George Lucas was beating his head against the wall trying to write this massive space fantasy, he stumbled onto Campbell's work. Suddenly, everything clicked. He found the universal pattern that would give his tale of Jedi and Sith, farm boys and princesses, that deep mythic resonance. Yeah, that story became Star Wars. Lucas later said discovering Campbell was a great gift. But Campbell wasn't just writing for Hollywood types. He was writing for anyone who's ever felt that pull towards something bigger in their own life. The guy spent decades diving into myths and legends from every corner of human history. Ancient Greek epics, Native American stories, Hindu wisdom texts, medieval night tales, you name it. And what he discovered was mind-blowing. Under all those different costumes, characters, and exotic settings, there's one single universal story, one journey. Campbell called it the Monomyth, or the hero's journey. And here's the real kicker. This journey isn't just about gods and heroes from dusty old books. It's about you. It's the blueprint for your growth, your struggles, your transformation into who you're meant to become. So today, we're walking that path together. By the time we're done, you won't just understand the secret architecture behind the greatest stories ever told. You'll also be holding the map to the greatest adventure there is, the one waiting inside you. This is the story of the hero with a thousand faces, and how one of those faces is staring back at you in the mirror. So where does every great adventure kick off? Right in the middle of the ordinary world, that comfortable, familiar place that's maybe gotten a little too comfortable, if you know what I mean. It's the Shire for Frodo, Dorothy's Kansas farm, that quiet village where nothing ever seems to happen. Campbell shares this old fairy tale about a young princess playing by her favorite spot, a spring in the forest. She's tossing around her golden ball, her most treasured possession, when, whoops, it slips from her hands and splashes into the deep, dark water. Gone. She starts sobbing, totally heartbroken. Then suddenly, this voice croaks out. A frog pops his ugly head up from the water. He offers to retrieve her ball, but there's a catch. He wants to be her companion, eat from her plate, sleep in her bed, the whole deal. This weird, uncomfortable moment, that's what Campbell calls the call to adventure. It's destiny knocking, and usually not in the way you'd expect. Could be a talking frog, a mysterious letter showing up at your door, or just this nagging feeling that you're meant for something more. It's that moment when your predictable life suddenly isn't enough anymore. The golden ball, that symbol of your perfect, controlled existence, has fallen into the unknown, and now something strange has surfaced to meet you. But here's the thing. How do most of us actually respond to this call? Usually with a big fat, "No thanks, I'm good here." That's the refusal of the call. The princess agrees to the frog's deal just to get her ball back, but the second she has it, she books it home, hoping to pretend the whole thing never happened. Refusing the call means turning your back on your own growth. Campbell warns us that when this happens, the world that felt like home starts feeling like a cage. The adventure you refuse to take turns inward and becomes this wasteland of boredom and meaninglessness. That thing calling to you as a guide, it becomes a monster haunting you from the shadows of the life you're not living. Think about the Greek myth of Daphne. The radiant sun god Apollo pursues her, representing this higher, more divine life. But she's terrified. She runs, begging her father to save her. And he does. Sort of. He transforms her into a laurel tree, rooted forever to one spot, beautiful but frozen, unable to move or grow. She refused the adventure, and in doing so, gave up life itself. But what happens when you actually say yes? When you find the guts to embrace the unknown, something magical happens. A guide appears. This is supernatural aid. This guide is usually some protective figure, a wise old mentor or a nurturing elder who hands the hero the tools and wisdom they need. Think Obi-Wan giving Luke his father's lightsaber, or Gandalf offering Frodo his counsel. In the myths Campbell explores, this helper can be anyone. For the hero Theseus, it was Princess Ariadne, with her simple ball of thread to navigate the deadly labyrinth. For two young Native American brothers seeking their father, the sun, it was this mysterious old woman living beneath the earth, Spider-Woman. She gave them magic charms and prayers to protect them from the monsters ahead. But here's the deeper truth. This guide isn't just some external helper. Campbell tells us they represent the benign, protective power of destiny itself. They're a promise that once you commit to the journey, the universe starts conspiring to help you. Your hidden strengths, your deepest wisdom, they start waking up. You just have to trust, and these ageless guardians will show up. Armed with this help, the hero's ready for the next big step, the crossing of the first threshold. This is the point of no return, the moment the hero leaves the known world and steps into a realm where normal rules don't apply. And this threshold? It's always guarded. There's always some powerful guardian blocking the way. These guardians are the ogres, monsters and demons lurking in dark forests and uncharted seas across every myth tradition. They're the shadows at the edge of the map, representing all the dangers of leaving your comfort zone. But they also represent the parts of ourselves we're afraid to face. When the hero confronts these guardians, they're really confronting their own limitations. Take the ancient Greek god Pan, who haunted the wilderness just beyond the village. Anyone who wandered into his domain got hit with this sudden, groundless fear, a panic that could drive them mad. Pan guarded that threshold between the village's safety and nature's wildness, and the wildness within the human heart itself. To get past this guardian, the hero has to prove they're worthy, sometimes through battle, like Prince Five Weapons, who fought a monster with sticky hair that caught everything thrown at it. His arrows, sword, club, all stuck fast. Finally, his hands, feet, even his head got stuck, completely helpless. But he wasn't afraid. He realized brute force was useless. He had to tap into a deeper power, this weapon of knowledge inside him. That inner strength finally subdued the beast. Once past this threshold, the hero enters this strange, wondrous land. But hold up, the journey's just getting started. Next comes this moment of total darkness and dissolution. Campbell calls it the belly of the whale. This is a powerful, worldwide symbol of death and rebirth. Instead of defeating the guardian, the hero gets swallowed by it. They're consumed by the unknown, and for a while, they just disappear. Think Jonah swallowed by the great fish, or Little Red Riding Hood eaten by the wolf. The hero's taken into a place that's both tomb and womb. This is the moment of self-annihilation. The hero has to let go of their old self, their ego, their entire identity, to be reborn as something new. When the hero's swallowed, they're actually entering sacred space. Like a temple, the whale's jaws are temple gates, guarded by dragons and monsters. Inside, the hero dies to time and returns to the world womb, the earthly paradise. They're reconnecting with the source of all life. This isn't true death. It's radical transformation. It marks the end of the first great act, the departure. The hero's left the ordinary world behind and is ready to face the heart of the adventure. Which brings us to the second major movement, the initiation. Reborn from the belly of the whale, the hero now walks through this dreamlike landscape where they face a series of tests. Campbell calls this the road of trials. This is where the hero's true character gets forged. This is the part we love most. The series of challenges the hero must overcome. Hercules in his 12 labors, Luke training with Yoda, Harry Potter facing danger year after year at Hogwarts. During these trials, the heroes often secretly helped by that earlier guide, or they discover hidden powers within themselves. Beautiful example, the ancient Roman tale of Psyche, a gorgeous maiden who loses her divine lover, Cupid. To win him back, she has to perform impossible tasks set by Cupid's jealous mother, the goddess Venus. First task, sort a massive heap of mixed grains before nightfall. Seems hopeless, right? But an army of ants comes and sorts every last seed for her. Next, she has to gather golden wool from these ferocious man-eating sheep. A gentle reed by the river whispers to wait until the sheep pass, then gather wool caught on the bushes' thorns. Every trial brings a hidden helper. The ants, the reed, an eagle that fetches water from an impossible-to-reach spring, they all point to the same truth. The hero's never truly alone. These challenges teach the hero to rely on something greater than ego, to trust the benevolent forces now guiding them. After surviving these trials, the hero's ready for the ultimate prize, the deepest experience of the whole journey. Campbell calls this the meeting with the goddess. This is the mystical marriage of the hero's soul with the queen goddess of the world. She represents the ultimate beauty, perfection, and the bliss of life itself. She's mother, sister, mistress, bride, all rolled into one. She's the answer to all desire, the promise that comfort and nourishment once known will be known again. But here's the twist. This goddess isn't just nurturing and sweet. She's got a terrifying side, too. She's not just the good mother, but also the bad mother, the one who forbids, punishes, devours. She's both womb and tomb, creator and destroyer. She's the totality of life, with all its beauty and all its terror. Campbell shares the story of young hunter Actaeon, who accidentally stumbles upon the goddess Diana bathing naked in a forest pool. She's the peak of beauty, but when mortal eyes see her, her reaction isn't love, it's rage. She transforms him into a stag, and his own hunting dogs tear him apart. The hero who can face the goddess in both her beautiful and terrible aspects without flinching, who can love her for what she truly is, the totality of life, has passed the ultimate test. They've mastered life itself. But right after this blissful union, the hero often faces one more temptation. This is the stage of woman as the temptress. Now, this isn't literally about a woman tempting a man. It's this profound psychological moment. After experiencing blissful unity with the goddess, the hero's tempted to see the physical world, with all its imperfections, pain, and ugliness, as something to reject. It's a moment of revulsion. Life, the body, the messy reality of existence can suddenly seem intolerable to the soul that's glimpsed perfection. It's Hamlet crying out, "Fiant, ah fie! 'Tis an unweeded garden that grows to seed. Things rank and gross in nature possess it merely." He's seen the ugliness of the world, betrayal, incest, and it disgusts him. The hero has to move beyond this revulsion. They have to understand that spiritual and physical aren't enemies. They need to learn to see the divine not just in heaven but here, in this too solid flesh. Getting stuck here means falling into this world-rejecting Puritanism, rejecting life itself in the name of false purity. This leads the hero to the next major ordeal, atonement with the Father. If the goddess represents mysteries of the visible world, the Father represents the ultimate mystery of the source, the invisible power everything comes from. But this Father figure is often terrifying. He's the one setting tests, judging, holding power over life and death. Think of the Old Testament God, who seems to punish his faithful servant Job for no apparent reason, or the Son, father of the Navajo twin heroes. When his sons finally reach his house, no warm welcome awaits. He tries to kill them, throws them onto sharp spikes of shell and turquoise, tries steaming them to death in an overheated sweat lodge, makes them smoke poison. Why's the Father so terrible? Campbell explains that this ogre father is actually a projection of the hero's own ego. He represents the hero's resistance to letting go of his self-made identity. The Father's the ultimate tyrant, hold fast, keeper of the past, and the hero must overcome him. But the atonement, the at-one-ment, doesn't come from defeating the Father. It comes from understanding him. The hero has to open their soul beyond terror and see that the cosmos's sickening, insane tragedies are all part of a larger, majestic plan. They realize they and the Father are one. When the Navajo twins survive all their father's tests, the Son finally accepts them. He embraces them, saying, "Yes, these are my children." The ordeal's over. The heroes looked into the face of ultimate power without being destroyed. They've been recognized. This realization leads to the initiation's climax, apotheosis. This is when the hero becomes godlike. Human limitations fall away. The hero moves beyond pairs of opposites, good and evil, life and death, male and female. They're no longer just man or woman. They're this divine androgynous being. In Buddhist mythology, this is the bodhisattva state, someone who's achieved enlightenment but chooses to stay in the world out of compassion for all living things. The bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara is depicted with 1,000 arms, reaching out with jewel hands to embrace all beings. They're both male and female, in China and Japan, worshipped as the goddess of mercy, Kuan Yin. This androgynous nature symbolizes ultimate truth. The hero realizes time and eternity, physical and spiritual, aren't two different things, but two aspects of the same reality. The jewel of eternity exists in the lotus of birth and death. They've transcended duality. They've become one with the universe. From this divine state, the hero receives the ultimate boon. This is the prize they've won. Could be the elixir of life, the Holy Grail, the Golden Fleece, or simply profound, life-transforming wisdom. It's the thing that'll bring salvation to their people. The Irish hero, Prince of the Lonesome Isle, after 6 days with the sleeping queen in her revolving golden chamber, fills 3 bottles with water from the flaming well, the water of life. Sumerian hero Gilgamesh dives to the bottom of the cosmic sea to pluck the plant of immortality, called, "In his age, man becomes young again." This boon symbolizes the universe's inexhaustible life energy. It's Prometheus's fire, Buddha's wisdom, Christ's grace. It's the answer to life and death. The heroes found the source. and now holds power to regenerate their world. But hold on, the journey's not over. The heroes won the prize, but now comes the hard part, bringing it back. This launches the third and final act, the return. After the underworld's glories, the hero faces the most difficult task of all, returning to the ordinary world of common day. This is often challenging, because the hero, now transformed, may not want to return to a world that won't understand what they've experienced. This is the refusal of the return. The deep abode's bliss isn't easily abandoned. Even Buddha himself, after achieving enlightenment, doubted whether his message could reach a world consumed by passion. Hindu king Muchukunda, after helping the gods win a great battle, was offered any boon he desired. He was mighty, a world master. What could he possibly want? He was exhausted. All he wanted was endless sleep. He retreated into a deep cave and slept for eons, while civilizations rose and fell outside. He had no desire to return to the world's struggles. But even if the hero wants to return, the powers they won the boon from might not want to let them go. If the trophy was stolen rather than freely given, the hero must flee. This begins the magic flight. This lively, often hilarious chase filled with magical obstacles and narrow escapes. Welsh hero Gwion Bach accidentally tastes 3 drops of inspiration from the goddess Ceridwen's magic cauldron. Realizing he now knows all things, he flees in terror. But she pursues. He becomes a hare. She becomes a greyhound. He becomes a fish. She becomes an otter. Bird. Hawk. Finally, he transforms into a single grain of wheat. She becomes a black hen, finds the grain, swallows him. But she can't destroy him. 9 months later, she gives birth to him as the great poet Taliesin. This flight, packed with transformations, shows the heroes now a master of the world's forms, able to change and adapt. Sometimes they throw magic objects behind them to slow pursuers. In a classic fairy tale, escaping siblings throw a hairbrush that becomes a mountain of bristles, then a comb becoming a mountain of spikes, finally a mirror becoming a glass mountain so smooth their pursuer can't climb it. These obstacles represent the hero's ability to use supernatural powers to protect their return to the human world. But what if the hero's trapped, unable to return on their own? What if, like sun goddess Amaterasu, they've retreated into a cave of despair and refuse to come out? Then the world must rescue them. This is rescue from without. When Japanese sun goddess Amaterasu hid in her cave, the whole world went dark. All the other gods gathered outside. They set up a great tree decorated with jewels, lit bonfires, and a young goddess performed this wild, joyous dance that made 8 million gods laugh so hard the heavens shook. Amaterasu, curious about the noise, peeked out. She saw her own reflection in a mirror the gods placed before the cave, and, intrigued by this beautiful goddess, stepped out. A powerful god immediately grabbed her hand and pulled her forth, while another stretched a rope behind her so she couldn't retreat. The world had to lure its savior back. Life itself had to rescue the one holding the key to its renewal. Whether the hero returns on their own or gets rescued, they face one final challenge: the crossing of the return threshold. This is the hero's re-entry into normal life, and this can be jarring. The hero has to reconcile the transcendent wisdom they've gained with the often trivial realities of everyday life. They have to learn how to live in the ordinary world while holding consciousness of the extraordinary. The two worlds, divine and human, are actually one. The realm of the gods is simply a forgotten dimension of the world we know. But how do you communicate this to people who only see the surface? How do you translate the language of the void into everyday yes and no? This is why returning heroes are often misunderstood, even seen as fools. Poor Rip Van Winkle slept 20 years in the mountains. He had an encounter with supernatural beings but returned with nothing but a long beard and rusty gun. The world had completely changed. He didn't know the new politics, the new faces. Everyone thought he was crazy. He'd crossed the threshold but brought nothing back. His journey became a joke. The hero who successfully crosses this final threshold becomes master of the two worlds. They're that rare individual who can live in the ordinary world without losing connection to the divine. They're free to pass back and forth across the world division, from time's perspective to eternity's. They don't mistake the world's passing forms for ultimate reality, but they don't reject them either. They see the eternal in the temporal and the temporal in the eternal. This is the state of great world redeemers like Christ and Krishna. At the Transfiguration, Jesus takes his disciples up a high mountain, and for a moment, the veil between worlds lifts. His face shines like the sun, standing there talking with ancient prophets Moses and Elijah. His disciples are terrified. They've seen divine reality behind human form. Then, just as quickly, the vision's gone. Jesus is just Jesus again, leading them back down the mountain into the world of men. He's master of both realms. Hindu prince Arjuna, on the battlefield, is overcome with despair at fighting his own kinsmen. His divine charioteer, the god Krishna, reveals his true cosmic form, a being of infinite faces and arms, containing the entire universe, blazing like 1,000 suns. Arjuna sees all warriors of both armies rushing into the god's terrible mouths. He sees life and death as just part of a great cosmic dance. He understands his role is simply to be an instrument of divine will. Then the vision closes. Krishna is once again his friend, his charioteer, ready for battle in the world of men. This mastery brings the hero to the final stage, freedom to live. What does this mean? They're no longer afraid of death, no longer bound by pairs of opposites. They don't see the world in terms of good and evil, success and failure, but as manifestation of a single divine presence. They can participate in the world's sorrows without being destroyed, because they know the eternal self is beyond all suffering. The hero champions things becoming, not things become. They're the agent of change, the one who shatters old crystallized forms to make way for the new. The hero of yesterday becomes tomorrow's tyrant unless they crucify themselves today. They must be willing to let go of every achievement, every identity, to allow the next moment to be born. The hero's life, then, isn't about final achievement, but continuous rebirth. And this, Campbell tells us, is the secret for all of us. The journey never ends. The dance goes on. The hero with 1,000 faces looks out from 1,000 eyes, and in every one we can see a reflection of ourselves, standing at the threshold, waiting for the call to our own great adventure. What an incredible journey, right? When you strip away the layers of culture and time, Campbell reveals something stunning. The human story is one story. Whether it's a myth carved in stone thousands of years ago or last weekend's blockbuster, the path's the same: departure, initiation, return. Why is this so powerful? Because it tells us our challenges aren't random. That feeling of being lost, the terror of facing our dragons, the struggle to bring our gifts back into the world, these aren't signs we're failing. They're signs we're on the path. They're the necessary stages of our own heroic journey. The greatest lesson here, for me, is that myth isn't fiction, it's a map. It's a psychological and spiritual guide for navigating life's difficult passages. Campbell saw that in our modern world, we've lost connection to this ancient wisdom. As he put it, dead are all the gods. We've traded the timeless universe of symbols for a world of facts and figures, and in the process, we've become split in two, cut off from the deep, unconscious sources of our own vitality. The modern hero's task, he says, isn't to slay dragons in the outer world, but to journey inward, to bring to light that lost Atlantis of the coordinated soul. So how do we begin? How do we apply this epic map to our own lives? First, learn to recognize the call, that quiet whisper or loud alarm telling you it's time for change. It's the opportunity you're afraid to take, the difficult conversation you've been avoiding, the creative project you keep putting off. Don't refuse it. Even a small step toward it is an answer. Second, find your guides. The supernatural aid of myths is all around us. It's in the books we read, the mentors who inspire us, the friends who believe in us. It's that unexpected advice arriving just when you need it. Look for these helpers. They're waiting to give you the tools for your journey. And finally, reframe your monsters. The dragons and ogres you face aren't external enemies. They're projections of your own fears, your own limitations, your own tyrant holdfast, wanting to keep you stuck in the past. See them not as things to destroy, but as thresholds to cross. Every challenge you overcome is an initiation, making you stronger, wiser, and more fully yourself. That was the book summary of The Hero with 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell. We've traced the grand outline of the hero's path today, but let me be honest with you. A summary, no matter how detailed, is like looking at a map of a beautiful country. The real magic happens when you decide to take the journey yourself. It's in those quiet reading moments when one of Campbell's stories, or a single powerful idea, connects with something deep inside you in ways you never expected. This summary is meant to be a signpost, helping you decide if this is a path worth walking. If anything we've discussed sparked something in you, I encourage you to pick up a copy. Reading this book isn't just learning, it's an experience that can fundamentally change how you see your own story and your place in the world. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable, please take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. It tells us we're on the right track and ensures you won't miss our next exploration into another life-changing book on the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's continue growing and learning together.